Why does he continue to deny that during his term as Prime Minister, the wage gap between Australian and New Zealand workers have grown, when both the figures he tabled in the House last week and the parliamentary library figures he referred to in his answer yesterday show that it has?
On behalf of the Prime Minister, despite the claim by the Leader of the Opposition, the parliamentary library figures I received and tabled yesterday show that between 2008 and 2009 and 2009 and 2010, the weekly wage gap in New Zealand and Australia, if measured in absolute dollars, increased slightly.
Can the Prime Minister tell us how an absolute dollar differs from the ordinary dollar that people spend in the shop each week, when ordinary New Zealanders know they've got less of them to pay for prices that are going up?
The Leader of the Opposition doesn't like it when his argument starts to be deconstructed. The reality is that in Australia at the moment we have inflation running at over 3%, contrasted with New Zealand's current inflation rate of about 1.8%. So while it might look like Australians are getting a bigger wage increases, that's not necessarily the case. Mr. Speaker, it simply once again shows how difficult it is to compare figures between our two countries. The reality is that the performance of the Labor government was an utter shocker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Park.
I know that the Speaker has ruled that we cannot seek leave to table New Zealand press statements, but am I correct that we can seek leave to table foreign newspaper statements? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to table the document from the Sydney Morning Herald titled NZ Wage Gap with Australia Widens. Australian workers are being paid even more than their Kiwi cousins since National became government.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection.
How does the Prime Minister expect the wage gap with Australia to close when the figures just released show that 53% of all New Zealand wage and salary earners didn't get any wage rise last year, when figures in the budget show that inflation will be hitting 6%?
Mr. Speaker, I think the question that the Leader of the Opposition asks and the information he refers to is interesting, but it goes to the heart of the problem of trying to compare like with like. There is no such thing. And what I want to tell the the member, is that it will be the initiatives in the government and the government's budget that will create growth.
The question was straightforward. How do you expect the wage gap to close when 53% of workers in New Zealand didn't get a wage rise last year?
The point I make again is that it is the government's program that was well articulated in the budget, that has been well articulated by a range of ministers since, all designed to see the economy growing, that will give New Zealanders the confidence that this government knows where it's going. They know that government didn't know where it's going, and that's why they were kicked out of office.